Hello, Contractors of Colorado. It is your founder here, Andrew Lavrins, with another Contractors of Colorado podcast. I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, the Business Foundry. That's where our podcast studio is at. Great venue for co-working space, business accelerator, anything else that you need for your business. This is the spot. And also a shout out to the Builders Outlet. It is a material supply shop in Denver for your cabinets, doors, windows, some appliances, trim, anything you need, give the Builders Outlet a call. Today, I'm sitting here with our verified affiliate, Mr. Keith Crockett. Keith, welcome.
Thanks, Andrew. Glad to be here.
Of course. So today we're going to ask you a couple questions, just learn a little bit more about you, your business. Let's get this thing started. Tell us a little bit about Schooley Mitchell of Castle Rock. What is it you do?
Yeah, Schooley of Mitchell of Castle Rock. We perform vendor audits. So costs and things are continuing to go up and up. I don't know about you, but I've been guilty of just signing the terms and conditions, and a lot of times there's language of auto renewal and things in there. So we take an audit, we take a look at that, and then our ultimate goal is to reduce operating costs in some key areas. That's
awesome. Well, thank you for coming here today. I definitely know exactly what you're talking about. I got an email about my, my internet costs, and it was like, when did I start paying that much? And it had been a few months at the very least. So thank you for being here and doing what you do for our community.
Yeah, and that's a common example. I use cell phone plans as an example a lot personally, right? It's a certain amount. A little bit while later, it's all of a sudden a lot more. You go back in, they go back to the original amount that you had. You're like, why did the price go up? So that happens to businesses a lot, and I think the scale is just at a much greater scale than it is that we experience in our personal lives as well.
Yeah, well, makes sense. It feels that way across the board. So I definitely appreciate what you're doing. How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this about 18 months now. It's a franchise model, so I went and invested in Schooley Mitchell back in January of 23. And before that in my career, I had been helping large enterprises with software. But even before that, I was selling barcode scanners and inventory management back to the small and medium-sized businesses. So it's nice to get back into the small and medium-sized business community, which, that affects us a lot more locally than some of those big corporate entities do.
Yeah, I mean, I remember we probably met right around that time, maybe a little before. But that's one of the reasons I've felt so comfortable bringing you on as a verified affiliate is I know the work you've done for people that I know personally, and I've known you for a while now, and you've never heard a bad word about you. You're always around the community, lots of networking, and always willing to help. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why again, contractors, you could trust Keith. Again, I like to say all these verified affiliates, you're here for a reason, and you're definitely no exception. Can you tell us a little, maybe an example of a time that you've helped a contractor, another small business, identify some of these areas you've talked about and save some money?
Yeah, the great thing about the way that we do things, it's pretty much universal across industries. So I kind of like to stick with the family. My grandfather was one of my first clients. It's nice to be able to help out your family. He owns a small business. They do a lot of shipping. And in that particular case, it was just knowing the right questions to ask. They were on top of things. They were looking at their numbers. But our analyst back at our home office, they knew the right questions. They asked if they qualified for a specific program. They said, yep. And so for him, it reduced his expenses in shipping for 30%. And that for them, smaller business, so it saves them about $6,000 a year. From a contractor's perspective, maybe shipping is not in a category that comes up quite as much. But there's other areas that we've helped out in, telephone lines as an example. A lot of times there's devices and things out in the field, whether it's taking an electronic signature or it's the cellular plan that goes along with that, even helping consolidate fuel cards, lots of different areas, merchant services as an example. So in all of those different areas, we've been able to help out contractors as well.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I know a lot of the businesses that we work with, the contractors we work with, all their guys have cell phones, tablets. A lot of our home services have all those e-signature platforms, everything like that. So yeah, definitely a relevant conversation to be had there. Is there any advice you would give to the contractor community about how they can optimize, or maybe even a little bit about your process?
Yeah, I think the big thing is that I try to emphasize to people, and I actually conduct a workshop to help out with this. It's sort of when was the last time? So when was the last time you kind of took a look at your vendors and listed them out? How much are you spending annually with those vendors? When's your renewal contract dates with those vendors? When's the last time you negotiated with them? And really putting those things together, because we get so busy in the day-to-day. I mean, I don't think we got into business to do vendor management, at least most of us. We got in business to provide a service, be able to make something, construct something, whatever. We didn't think about that, oh, now we're going to have to manage all these contracts and manage the pricing and know all about that. But it's absolutely critical to the business. And there's so many times that we focus in on trying to make more money so that we can have profit and we can have margin and we can invest that into something else. But this is really an easier way to do it. A lot of times when we're able to make those changes to the pricing, it's the same service level. And actually 80% of the time, it's with the same vendor. And on average, we find about 28% savings. So if you think about those numbers, multiply that out on the annual amount, what does that mean you can do for your business? So many times when we think about saving money, it's about giving stuff up. That's not what we're about. And so what can you do with that money? Can you give yourself a bonus for the first time? Can you hire somebody else? Can you buy another piece of equipment that will allow you to make X-fold number of money? Can you invest in a marketing plan? All of those are different things to think about, not necessarily about the saving money, but what you can do with those savings, and doing those fundamental basics of just reviewing it is super important. And that's obviously where we can help. We're experts in doing that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. One of the things that I enjoy most about your model, and you might have touched on it a bit, is how you all make your money. I think there's probably a conception of or a notion of, okay, you're saving me money, how much do I have to pay you? Explain that model, because I think it's very interesting. I'll let you take it from here. Yeah.
No, thanks for asking. That's an important question. We are in a contingency-based model. So it means that we don't make money unless our clients save money. And for me personally, the route that I've chosen to go is I don't do that until there's already been a quarter's worth of savings. So what we'll do is we'll use the last invoice before we started working with our client. That will serve as the baseline as what those unit prices equate to. And then if a client decides to move forward with us after we do the analysis, which is free, we'll provide another report that says, hey, this is what we expect savings to be. This is what you are paying. And then when that quarter goes by, after everything's been implemented, we'll use those same baseline numbers and the actual amounts so you can see the difference for the savings. And then we bill on that. And we do that for 3 years because we're still involved. We continue to look at the numbers if there's a billing error so that you don't have to be stuck on hold with customer service or an account manager. We do that. So that back to the point of focusing on the business and why you got into business in the first place, not to manage bills, not to manage vendors, it's to provide your service.
I mean, that's kind of textbook for our verified affiliate program is we are trying to create this easy button. And whether it's with, like we saw our last podcast that we put out with Brian Ensign with Be Branded, we're bringing in experts that help you understand the things that you might not necessarily know. Mm-hmm. And I think you fit very, very well into this model and the way that you all operate. It's easy. It's, hey, let us do this heavy lifting. I didn't even know the piece about, hey, we'll jump on with some of these vendors to have the tough conversations, or the last thing we want to do is sit on hold. Yep. And it can be extremely frustrating. So that's a good thing to have learned in this podcast. Wrapping up here, anything else that you wanted to share with the Contractors of Colorado community?
Yeah, I would think one of the big things to share is I really do want to help. I know that sounds super cliche and everybody says that. But I mean, that's why I got into this. I think it's been great to get back, like I said, back into the community. As you mentioned at the outset, do a lot of networking, meet a lot of great people. So if there is something, it may not necessarily even have to be directly related to what we do in cost optimization. But if there's just something within your business, trying to find X or trying to find Y or trying to find Z, I'd love to just have a conversation. I think one of the great things about this profession as well is the fact that I get to learn about how people make a buck. I think it's fascinating because even though something can be almost exactly the same, there's always a little nuance. There's always something a little bit different. And then discovering those and finding those out, I just find a lot of satisfaction in that. And it always gets my mind thinking about how I can help.
Well, again, you're here for a reason. Really appreciate your time. Contractors, Keith's a good one. There's really no downside to having a conversation with you and going through some of this process. Again, quick shout out to our sponsors, Business Foundry. Thank you for hosting us in this podcast. And Builders Outlet. If there's anything you need for your material supply side, cabinets, windows, doors, trim, give the Builders Outlet a call. Keith, again, thank you for your time, sir. It's great having you as a verified affiliate and a friend.
Thank you. It's a privilege.
Appreciate you. Have a good one, contractors. We'll see you next time.